Majid. I'm the one giving review for assessment and evaluation of learning, part 1 and part 2. So we are now on the continuation po of part 2. So so yung mga bago po, pwede pa rin po naman natin ipagpatuloy. Kung hindi nyo po nasimulan yung part 1. Okay po? So give me a thumbs up po. Kung nakikita na po yung aking screen. Thank you. So I would not ask you to open your camera if it is not possible on your end. I just want your full attention. Okay po. Thank you for the heart from Anjini. Okay. Much appreciated. So I will present to you first the competencies for the assessment and evaluation of learning. So it is said to be 25% of the questions in the PROF Ed po, no? So there are a lot of competencies, and I just get the common one, which is I think na medyo dun tayo kailangan mag-focus in the assessment of learning and evaluation. So ano po ba itong mga competencies na to? So when we review, some reviewers, more than focusing on the question is to be able to identify to what particular areas of assessment and evaluation of learning sila bumabagsak. Thus, the question shows understanding of the basic concepts and principles of high-quality assessment. So this is actually for the assessment and learning evaluation 1, wherein we talk about the traditional assessment, the alternative assessment, and authentic assessment. So napakalawak po ng coverage na to. And that's why we need to be able to identify. That's why most of the review center advise to answer questions every day. So more than the familiarization of the questions is knowing to what particular area po sila bumabagsak. So that when you have doubt with some of the answers, so hindi po natin maiwasan na may mga typographical error. So we can go back to our notes if we are education graduates. So we can go back to our notes. If we are not education graduates, we can also look for a trusted site in the Google, no? Sa Google Education. So doon po tayo tumingin para ma-verify po natin kung ano po talaga yung ating tamang sagot. Now, the technique that I'm teaching in my review that I'm applying, alam na rin po ng mga nakasama ko from Learning Evaluation 1, is the law of elimination, which means you are going to eliminate the two choices or alternative choices that does not answer the stem of the question. Minsan, bakit ko po tinatawag na stem of the question? Kasi mahaba po minsan yung mga questions sa Prof Ed, and it is mostly situational. So we need to get the gist or the main concept kung ano po talaga yung tinatanong ng particular item or question. And by weighing and knowing the stem, then we will be able to eliminate yung hindi po sumasagot sa tanong. And yun po yung gagawin natin ngayon. So doon sa mga bago, so I will be asking you to answer some question, and after that, tsaka ko po i-rationalize o ipapaliwanag kung paano nangyari. And another technique that I teach is the leveling or the leverage. When we leave two possible answers, nagkakataon doon na tayo magsusukat kung saan ba dito yung pinakamalapit doon o nagde-define doon sa stem of questions. And you will know that later on as we go on po. Okay? So the next competencies is to identify the role of assessment, excuse me, in making instructional decisions. So assessment before instructions. Yun po yung no? You should know first how you would assess so that you will be able to give the proper way of teaching or having your instructional strategies or methods. Sa dami po ng mga principles of strategies, marami ng mga instructional methods, then sometimes we miss to align our assessment to our instructional objectives and our learning activities. So kailangan nag-a-align po yung dalawa. The next is demonstrate skills in utilizing and reporting test results. So since this is assessment and evaluation, so the focus is mostly on the test, whether it is an authentic assessment type of test or a traditional po. I hope that is clear on your end. Maliwanag po ba? Okay lang po bang mag-Tagalog tayo? Or you want English? Ano pong gusto nila? Feel free po.
Kung saan masanay, sir.
Saan ako sanay? Okay. So, kung saan ako sanay, so pwedeng Tagalog, pwedeng English. So, mamaya-maya siguro Taglish ang magiging natin, no? In order for you to highlight really the main thing about the question or the rationalization behind it. So, yan. Let me just check the chat box. Okay, good afternoon po. Good afternoon dito sa Saudi. Good evening po dyan sa inyo. And we have also applied the principle of assessment in conceptualizing techniques for assessing authentic learning. Okay po. And we have also applied statistical procedures in standardizing tests. Okay, sorry po. Okay, so these are the competencies that I choose that we need to focus po. Marami po siya actually. There is also one competencies that focus on the authentic assessment, which is about portfolio. Okay? In the K to 12, this is one of the assessment other than the performance-based assessment ang talagang pinopromote ng K to 12. So it's more of harnessing the skills more than the cognitive. So that's why one of the competencies din po is about portfolio assessment at yun naman po kasi hindi ko na isinama dahil babagsak po siya dito sa ating tinatawag na understanding of the basic concept and principles of high quality assessment. So that's why sometimes when you have your reviewers or you have seen some of your reviewers, may mga tanong about portfolio. And we should be familiar with the different types of portfolio. And because those portfolio assessment, halos pare-parehas lang, meron lang silang minimal na pagkakaiba. And we need to focus on that trivial difference between the types of portfolio assessment. Okay? So, our focus this afternoon is more of item analysis and some PROF questions from different concepts behind assessment and evaluation of learning. So, item analysis, give me a thumbs up po if you have some idea about item analysis. Thumbs up po tayo. Kung wala po, no worries. Okay, we will try to simplify that thing for you. Again, in the PROF questions, as I said, as sinasabi ko lagi, based on experience, I never encountered na magko-compute tayo, but rather it's more of interpreting, no? It's more of interpreting numbers or test results based on a certain standards that I will be showing you later on. So, yan po yung ating target. Okay, so ready na po ba sila? So we will start first with answering question for 1 minute. So you can have your paper po. Ayan. Give me a thumbs up po if you have your notebook or your paper. Yun, okay, nice. Sino pa po? Ayan. So you will be given 1 minute for each questions po. Then after that, pag natapos natin, tsaka po natin siya i-rationalize, no? Okay na po ba? Okay. So this is our first question. Okay. 30 seconds. So what principle of test construction is violated when one places difficult items at the beginning, thus creating frustration among students? So let's apply the identifying the stem of the question. Then after that, we eliminate two that does not answer the question. Then we leave two that we are going to weigh kung sino talaga yung sumasagot sa tanong. Okay, next question. Give me a thumbs up po if okay na po tayo. Thank you. Okay, so next question. For 1 minute. Okay, welcome po doon sa mga bagong pasok. Okay, so we just started po answering some of the question. Ano po yung naabutan nyo, yun po muna yung sagutan nyo, then later on po, pabalikan po natin yung mga questions. Okay. Okay, next.
Which of the following is an example of affective learning outcomes? Affective. Appreciate the quality of
Okay. Next question. Okay. Next question. Next question po. No worries po doon sa mga ano po. So, I always started po with an assessment. So, this is a diagnostic, no? So, to check kung saan po yung level ng ating alam in some of the questions. So, no worries po pagka hindi po natin makuha sa umpisa. Okay, next question po. Okay, thank you for the thumbs up, Sir Darrell. Thank you, Ma'am Maria Teresa. Again, no worries po pagka wala po tayo masyadong background. And anyway, later on po, magiging simplify po sa atin. Okay, next po. Okay, next po. Oh, sorry for that. Okay, for question number 9, I would like you to copy po the table. Okay, I would like you to copy the table. Because we're going to use this later on in our discussion. Once again po, please do copy the table provided for question number 9. Thank you, Sir Jalmar. Sir Ma'am Maria, okay. Thank you po for the thumbs up. Okay, next number. Okay, next item. Okay, next number po. Okay, next number. Okay, next number. Thank you, Sir Darrell, for the heart. Okay, thank you for the thumbs up. Ayan po. Ayan. So this is just 15 items. Okay. So I hope each one of you are done already. And we will start to rationalize na po these questions. Okay, so we will start with the rationalization. Yan. Give me a thumbs up po. Ready na. Ready na. Give a thumbs up po. Yeah, Sir Darrell. Okay, that's nice. So again po, yung technique po na gagamitin natin is the law of elimination, eliminating two choices that will not answer the stem of the question. So ano po ang gagamitin natin technique to identify the stem is underlining and encircling. Yan po yung tinuro ko sa last time in the evaluation of learning 1. Knowing how to underline kung ano yung pinaka-tinatanong and encircle kung ano yung keywords or words that will guide us in order to choose the correct answer. Now, if this would be given in a face-to-face, mas maganda po, lagi yung sinasabi, mas maganda na tinatakpan muna natin yung choices so that we will concentrate more on analyzing the question. Because this is one thing, kapag nakikita na natin yung choices and we see some of the keywords na tinandaan natin based on the review given, hindi na po natin tinatapos yung tanong. Okay? Kaya po tinatawag natin siyang stem of the question kasi nagsasanga yung tanong. Maaaring may parehas siyang concept, pero because of some of the conditions or parameter sets, kaya yun ang naging sagot. Okay po? So, let us have number 1. Sir Darrell,
Yes, sir.
would you mind reading po, number 1? Good evening, Sir Joe.
Number
Malinaw
1.
ba ako? Okay.
What principle of test construction is violated when one places difficult items at the beginning, thus creating frustration among students, particularly those of average ability and below average?
Okay. So, let us look at this, what concept. If we are going to review after this question that I presented, anong area ng test tayo magpo-focus, it's all about the principle, no? Principle of test construction, right? The principle of test construction. And what is the condition that is being asked in this question is that it tends to violate, no? What it violates, okay? When and what is that? One places difficult items at the beginning. So the rest of those are just a supplement. The rest of those statements in this question are just a supplement or an extension to explain further. Pero ito lang yung pinaka-focus natin. Okay, let us go to the law of elimination. Okay, what are we going to eliminate? Ma'am Maria Teresa. Hello po, good evening. Good evening po.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Ano po yung una yung tatanggalin?
Sir B?
B. Okay, bakit po B? Because this is correct. B po. Sino pong nagtanggal ng B? Taas po ang kamay. O, thumbs up, thumbs up. Yan. Yun. So, B po yung tatanggalin natin. That's correct. Bakit natin tatanggalin? Because the statement focuses on what? Ma'am Maria Teresa. So, when we say one places, then we're talking about position or order, right? So, we're talking about position or order. Etong letter B po ba, nagsabi ng tungkol sa order
It
or
is all about
position?
content po.
Yes, this is
Yes,
about
sir.
content. Okay po? Again, all of these are principle, no? This is one thing to
Yes.
remember. This is one thing to remember. Okay? The choices will always be homogeneous. Meaning it will just fall on the same concept. That what makes it difficult is those terms that we say conditions or parameters. So one places, then we're talking about the order or positioning when you construct your test. So this one is something to do with content. Okay? When we construct tests, we tend to talk about the content, ano isusulat natin, at kung saan natin sa ilalagay. Okay po? Whether we put it in number 1 or in the beginning, or we will put it in the middle. So all of these are about construction. So tama po, Ma'am Maria, that letter B should be eliminated because it talks about content. Okay? Next to be eliminated. Ano po yung next nating i-eliminate? Sir Richard. Sir Richard, ano po yung next nating i-eliminate?
Sir?
Ano po yung next
Letter
nating
A. Letter A, sir?
A. Okay. Bakit po natin tatanggalin si letter A? So letter B is very clear that this is something to do with the content, no? Content. So letter A, all the items of particular type should be placed together.
Mali.
Letter D.
Letter
I think
D.
letter A din.
Letter D or letter A? So dito tayo mag-ano, no?
Letter A.
So
Parang
letter
A.
B is content. Okay, letter A, all the items of particular type should be placed together. All items should be approximately 50% difficulty.
D.
Letter D.
D.
Tanggalin natin si letter D. Okay, tanggalin natin si letter D. Okay. Because this also talk about content, no? Kasi pagka tinapos natin yung statement dito, dito ka kanya guguluhin. Okay? So we will be leaving A and C. So sino sa kanila ngayon ang pinaka-swak o ang pinaka-tamang sagot?
The correct answer is letter C.
The
Letter
correct
C.
answer is letter C.
Letter
Sino pong tumama?
Based on TOS. Sinusundan.
Sino pong tumama? Okay, the principle of the table of specification, no?
Specification.
Okay? At saka pag halimbawa nakalimutan natin yung table of spec, tingnan natin dito. Again, it talks about order of position. May nakikita tayo dito arrange in ascending order of difficulty, which is equivalent to what we call TOS. Okay po ba? Sino pong tumama?
Yes, sir.
Sino pong
Yes,
tumama?
sir.
Ayan. Nice. Okay. So that's how we analyze po. Okay? Again, we need to identify the stem of the question so that we will be able to choose the correct answer. Okay. Number 2. Sir Anlord. Yan. Sir Anlord. Would you mind reading po the question for us? O si Sir Albert siguro. Sir Albert? Sir Albert? Sige po. Sige, sir. Okay. Sir Albert, can you read the question po? Pwede po? Or Ma'am Muhaira? Okay, Ma'am Muhaira. Unmute po your microphone. Okay, ayan, may nagtaas ng mic. Sir, ma'am ba to? Ma'am baby? Sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, okay po. May apology pa. May apology. Okay po.
Okay, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am baby.
Okay. Mrs. D would like to find out how well her students know each other. What assessment instrument best suit her objective?
Okay. So, ano po yung ating stem of the question? We're talking about the assessment instrument. Okay? Assessment instrument that will best suit her objective. Ano ang kanyang objective? Find out how well her students know each other. Okay? So, Mrs. D would like to find out how well her students know each other. So this is our conditions. Okay? In our stem of question, when we review that, it's all about assessment instrument. So ano po ang una nating tatanggalin at ano ang ating iiwanan? Ma'am Francesca? Yan, nakita ko yung mic ni Ma'am Francesca. Yes. Ma'am? Ano po tinanggal nila? I-eliminate po natin. So again, we're applying the law of elimination, meaning we eliminate. Sa apat na to, may dalawang distractors, but those distractors are also possible answers. It just so happen, merong mas dalawa that defines really the question. Okay po? So, meaning all of these are assessment instrument. Yep. Self-report. Okay. Tama po ba? Narinig ko, self-report. Okay. Bakit natin tatanggalin sa self-report? Kasi to know each other. Yun, to know each other. Very good. Nice. Then, the next one to be removed. Ano naman po yung next one natin i-remove?
Anecdotal.
Anecdotal.
Anecdotal. Because when we say anecdotal, it is somehow related to
Personal.
Okay? So, etong dalawa, halos parehas po sila. Okay po? So, we leave about sociometric technique and guess who technique. Actually, ginagamit ko po to pagka opening ng classes, yung first day of class, when I want to know about, usually magkakaklase lang sila. So, with this kind of technique, pwede mo nang malaman kung sino yung magiging aloof from the group na kailangan mo talagang tulungang mabuhay yung kanyang self-confidence as you go on with the school year. So ano po yung pinaka natin dito?
Letter B, sir.
Letter
C.
Letter B.
Letter B. Okay. So the correct answer is
Sociometric.
C.
Sociometric. Letter
C.
C.
C. Letter C.
Guess who? Okay, guess who technique. Sa ginagawa ko naman po sa klase ko, I create a situation wherein, for example, you will be celebrating a birthday party. Okay? Sino sa mga kaklase mo ang i-invite mo. Then, you will be able to get all the names. Makikita mo kung sino yung names na wala doon sa lahat ng sinabi nila. So, with that, pwede nang magsimula ngayon yung getting to know each other. Okay,
Ano yung sociometric technique, sir?
Mamaya, natin yan. Okay, po. Pero tama po ba yung iniwan natin? Mamaya malalaman nyo yung pagkakaiba ng sociometric at saka sa guess who. Okay? So, I will keep you hanging on that. Okay po ba? Sino nagtanong ng ano? Okay lang, sir? I will keep you hanging on that. Okay, mamaya po.
Yes, sir.
You by yourself will be able, Sir Daryl pala yun. Sir Daryl ba? You by
Yes, sir.
yourself will be able to reflect and assess. Okay. Okay po. Okay, let's move on to the next. Yan. Sino na po naka-perfect? Sa first two items natin, warm up pa lang. Okay, si Ma'am Joby. Ma'am Joby would be the next one. At saka si Ma'am Teresa. Okay, good. Ma'am Joby, would you mind reading the next?
Okay po. Which of the following is an example of affective learning outcome?
Okay. Affective learning outcome. So, napaka-clear ng tinatanong. It is something to do with an affective learning outcome. And the given are all in situations except all of the above. No? Usually, all of the above are distractors. There will always be one definite answers to every question. Okay. So, affective learning. Sino po kaya sa kanilang mga situations ang affective learning? Ma'am Mirazol. Ma'am Mirazol? Nag-off si ma'am. Ma'am Mirazol? Ano po yung tinanggal nila? Ma'am Mirazol? Okay. Ma'am Miriam, would you mind sharing to us? Ano po yung niliminate nila based on the question?
Dogmatic.
Ma'am Miriam? Okay. So, anong una natin tatanggalin?
Appreciate.
Letter C.
Letter C.
Letter A
Siyempre,
po.
unahin na natin yung letter A.
A.
Okay. So,
Mahirap mag-test.
that's why we're using the law of elimination po. Pag ginagamit natin, madali po nating ano yung, kahit gaano kahirap na tanong. Once we use the law of elimination. So affective, ano po ba yung affective? Pag sinabi natin affective.
Emotions.
Emotions, yes. That's it, no? Emotions. That would be your guide, no? Emotions. So tama bang tanggalin natin si A? Definitely.
Parang hindi ata, sir. Appreciate.
Appreciate. Parang hindi.
Hindi, kasi emotional yung appreciate.
Pero mahirap pong i-test yung appreciate, di ba, sir?
Yes. Okay.
Ate, tama lang natanggal.
Appreciate the
Yes, okay. So tama po wala si A. Sige, okay po. Pangalawang tatanggalin natin. Tatanggalin na natin si D.
Letter D.
Baka all of the,
D.
baka all of the above.
D po.
Letter D.
Tatanggalin na natin sa letter D. Tatanggalin na natin sa letter D, definitely, no? Okay.
Yes, sir.
So may iwan ngayon is etong dalawa. Interpret stimuli from various modalities to produce data needed in making adjustment to the environment. Judge problem and issues in terms of situations involved than in terms of dogmatic thinking.
Interpret.
Interpret, sir.
Interpret.
Letter D.
Interpret.
Letter C po. Letter C po.
C.
The correct answer is
Letter C po.
Judge pa naman.
Ay,
Okay.
nadala ko sa appreciate na yan.
Pero ano po yung dogmatic thinking, sir?
Hindi ko alam yung dogmatic thinking.
Okay. Yun, kaya medyo tayo na ano sa dogmatic. Okay. So, if we do, okay, halimbawa po hindi natin alam yung dogmatic, no? Hindi natin alam yung dogmatic. We have the word thinking. So, it meaning it has something to do with what you are thinking. Okay? So, this is the answer? Kasi po, because of these situations, you are judging based on the situations.
Opo.
Okay po.
Outcome yung tinatanong niya.
Okay? Yes, outcome.
Hindi ko nakita yung outcome.
Okay? Yun po, no? Yun. Yun po yung ano natin, no? Sino po to? Kasi po, ganito, sir and ma'am, eto pong si B is actually related lang po siya dito. Why? Interpret stimuli. That stimuli can represent situations. Okay po? Interpret stimuli. Stimuli is anything in your environment. Okay? Then modalities, meaning what you encounter, produce data needed making adjustment. Making adjustment is judging. Okay po ba?
Okay, sir.
Okay po
Opo,
ba?
opo.
Okay po? Give thumbs up po. Give thumbs up. Kung medyo naintindihan natin. Ayun, nadala tayo doon sa appreciate. Okay? Aesthetic value, pag medyo appreciate, ano, hindi masyadong malakas yung emotions. But rather, in judgment, doon natin talaga inaano yung win-wave. Let me just admit some pumapasok. Siguro okay na yung mga yun. Yan. Okay. So, yan. Let's move on. Okay. Ma'am Cristeline. Yan. Ma'am Cristeline.
Basahin ko lang, sir.
Yes.
Okay po.
Pwede ka na rin mag-eliminate kaagad. Kasi master mo na yung elimination.
Okay po, sir.
Okay.
Miss L asked his pupils to indicate on a piece of paper the names of their classmates whom they would like to be with for some group activity. What assessment technique did Miss L use? First, sir, ang eliminate ko, sir, kay anecdotal technique po.
Okay, anecdotal technique.
Tapos,
So, let's remove anecdotal technique. So, tingnan muna natin. Identify natin yung stem ng question. Miss L asks his pupils to indicate on a piece of paper the names of their classmates whom they would like to be with for some group activity. So again, it is asking for assessment technique. Okay, Sir Darrell? Sir Darrell.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so parehas nung kanina, Sir Darrell, no? Assessment technique. Now, what is the condition? Whom they would like to be with group activity. Okay, so group activity. Okay, so group activity. So tanggalin natin si anecdotal.
Letter A. Self.
So that's personal, no?
Tanggalin din si self, sir.
Tanggalin din si self technique. Ayan, Sir Darrell,
Letter
dalawang
S.
naiwan.
Sige, guess.
ito na yun.
Okay.
Letter C.
So the correct answer is
Letter C po.
letter C.
Sociometric.
C.
Yes.
Sociometric
Tama rin.
from the word social.
Socio.
Kasi, yan din yung basehan ko kanina, sir. Yung social.
Okay? Social or socio. Okay? Now, sociometric technique is more of peer, no? Peer. It is measuring on how you will be able to work with your peers or your classmates kapag nasa classroom ka. Kaya siya sociometric. It's a type of your intelligence, di ba? We have 8 multiple intelligence, and one of that intelligence is how to deal with people around us.
Interpersonal.
Yeah.
Yes,
Interpersonal.
yan. Yes, wow,
Interpersonal.
very good. O sinong proponent ng multiple intelligence?
Si Gardner po.
Gardner.
Si Gardner.
Howard Gardner.
Yun, buong pangalan. Buong pangalan. Ano pong pangalan?
Howard
Howard
Gardner.
Gardner.
Anong middle initial?
Alam nyo na yun.
Okay. So, we should always pagkatao po, tandaan po natin yung pinakabuong pangalan, no? Howard Gardner. Kasi minsan, pwedeng, although hindi naman gagawin ng lesson, hindi katulad sa teacher-made test. You know, if you are a teacher, sino yung mga teacher? Sa mga teacher, ang ginagawa, di ba? Pinagpapalit-palit yung mga pangalan, binabali-baliktad yung apelido, okay? Para lituhin lang yung bata. Which
Howard
is,
Earl.
okay?
E.
Howard Earl Gardner po.
Yun. Thank you, Sir Dave. Yan. Yan. At least, we utilize right away the power of our fingers, no? Isang type lang yan. Okay?
Letter E pala yun.
Makikita na natin siya. Okay? So, again, Sir Darrell, were you able to see the difference? Here,
Yes, sir.
okay, they are now going to have their group activity. Yan.
Ay, sir,
Po.
may I ask question po? Just to
Yes, go
clarify po. The difference po ba of sociometric technique to guess who technique is that in sociometric technique po, there is an assessment of the relationship. Just to clarify lang po ba? Parang ganun po ba?
Yes, but that's the point of the of this assessment is how far they will work on with the
Okay.
group activity. How they will relate with the group activity. Kasi merong magkakakilala pero pagdating sa group activity, ayaw nila magkakasama.
Parang mas malalim po yung sociometric.
Yes. Okay po. That's a good
Thank you po,
question,
thank you po.
Sir Dave. Okay. So let's move on. Yan, nasagot na Sir Darrell, ha? Yan.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. Okay. So, number 5, Sir Dave.
Ay, sorry po. Sorry po.
Okay po.
Number 5.
Okay.
Which of the following assessment procedures or tools is useful in assessing social relation skills? Letter A, attitude scale. Letter B, anecdotal record. Letter C, peer appraisal. Letter D, guess who technique.
And again, so this is assessment procedure pa rin po. Okay? Assessment procedure or tools. The condition is for
Social.
social
Social
relation
relation skills.
skills. Okay? Social relation skills. So again po, katulad ng sinabi ko, kung magte-take po tayo ng board exam, inshallah, face-to-face, ang una po natin gagawin, ma'am and sir, takpan ang choices. Maliwanag po, takpan po ang choices. Concentrate on the question. Because when you concentrate on the question, based on your review, may mga idea na kayo. Okay? And those idea, pwede po natin sulatan yung test paper. Isulat po natin sa side. No? Sa side. Para pagkat nakita na po natin yung choices, we can always go back to those keywords na sinulat natin. And this is also the explanation bakit sa mga libro po natin, nakita niyo po ba yung mga books natin, may margin sa gilid, may mga space, no? Hindi nila tinatapos. Have you seen that? Because that is actually used for note-taking. Or kung maglagay ng mga sticky notes. Dati sinusulatan talaga yon. Ngayon, sticky notes na lang. Okay? So, social relation skills. So, anong tatanggalin natin?
Anecdotal again.
Okay,
Opo,
tanggalin
letter B
natin
po.
sa anecdotal. Okay. Master na natin sa anecdotal.
Letter
Huwag
B.
na, isama po natin sa aralin natin sa anecdotal, ha? Huwag po natin siya laging ikakalimutan, ha? Okay. Sino pa po? Ano pa po pala? Sino pa po? Ano pa po pala?
Letter D. Yes, technique.
Guess who? Okay, sige, tanggalin na si guess who. So, naiwan yung dalawa. Attitude scale and peer appraisal. Sino po sa kanila ang mas matimbang?
Ma-attitude.
Peer appraisal.
Letter C po, peer
Letter C,
appraisal.
sir.
Yes, peer appraisal. Why? Because
Social
peer
social relation skill.
social. Yan.
Hindi pwede si letter A, may attitude siya.
Bakit po hindi yung attitude? Kasi yung attitude is somehow part of the peer appraisal na rin. No? Because that is a skill.
Attitude is needed in making a peer appraisal.
Personal.
Okay? That is a skill.
Bawal ang may attitude.
Okay. I hope that is clear. Okay po. Sino pong tumama? Yan, alam ko tama lahat. Yes. Very good.
So, sa wakas,
One.
di zero.
Okay lang po yan. Okay lang po yan. Okay lang. Okay. What is important is the learning that we get, no, from our review. Kasi nga, na-encounter na natin. I know some of you will able to encounter that in some of the reviewers that you have, but it is just presented in a different way, but the concept is the same. Again, the concept and PROF are presented mostly in situational because we are applying all the principles, all the theories that we learn into a situation in a classroom or in a teaching learning process. Yun po yung ano natin lagi, no? Ilagay natin sa ating isipan. Okay, Ma'am Jocelyn, would you mind reading po? Oh, eto si Sir Jalmar. And kapag-unmute na si Ma'am Jocelyn.
Hello.
Okay, sir. Fine po.
Okay po. Okay. If the proportion passing for the upper and lower group is 0.90 and 0.30 respectively, what is the discrimination index?
Okay. So kanina meron nag-chat sa akin tungkol dito. So 0.90 and 0.30. Okay, remember that because later on I will be having a lecture about item analysis po para makita natin. Okay. So this is discrimination index. When we talk about discrimination index, has something to do with the performance of the learners that belonging to the upper group and the lower group in the test, no, in answering the test. Okay. So when we talk about discrimination, we are focusing on those highly skilled or yung pinaka nasa upper group. Yung po tatandaan natin, no? So, the simple formula here is very simple. Okay? Because this is already an index, you're not going to solve for the index. So upper group minus lower group, that is 90 minus 0.30. Okay? So 90 minus 0.30, that is 70.
Yes po.
90 minus 30.
60.
60.
Okay, 60.
60.
Okay. Not unless pag may bat, no? Pag may bat. Oh, sino pong tumama?
Sir.
Yun. Okay. Sir Darrell, tumama?
Ako po.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Very good, Sir Richard. Okay, Ma'am Evelyn, thank you. Okay. So mamaya po, i-propose. Tama ako. Yes.
May tama
Okay.
na ako.
As we go on, magkakaroon po tayo ng tama lahat, no? Tamang sagot, hindi tama. O, yan. Okay? So, let's have number 7. Sir Reggie. Sir, would you mind? Yan. Kindly unmute po. Unmute. Unmute po muna. Ayan.
Okay, in his second item analysis, Mr. Falcon found out that more from the lower group got the test item before what does this mean?
Okay.
The letter D, sir, the item has negative discriminating power.
Okay. So, yun. Very good. Okay. So, this question has something to do. Let us analyze. Okay. Again, so this is about item analysis. Then, it involves the lower group. So, we are basically talking about discrimination. Okay?
Discrimination index.
Yeah, so we're talking about the discrimination index. Yan. Pagpasensyahan po, medyo pasmado. Okay. Discrimination index. Okay? So the DI, not the dance instructor, but the discrimination index. Now, knowing that this talk about discrimination index, then we will be omitting right away about reliability,
Yes.
and about
And
the
validity.
validity. Okay?
Validity.
So we omit those two, then it will leave us this two interpretation of discrimination index that is having a positive discriminating power, meaning it enables really to discriminate or show the performance of the other group from the other group, and the same thing with this. Now, the correct answer is, let us look at the conditions stated.
Correct.
Mr. Falcon found out that more from the lower group.
Got
It
the
Now,
means
when we
Correct.
talk about
Skewed to the left.
discrimination, when we talking with discrimination, we are primarily focusing on those that perform very well. Now, if the items would show that the lower group perform, item analysis po, di ba? Ina-arrange natin yung scores, then we get the upper
Lower and
20,
upper group.
upper 27 and lower 27%.
7%.
Right? Can you
Yes,
remember
sir.
po that one? Okay,
Yes,
sino
sir.
po nakagawa nun? Sino po nakagawa nun? That is one of the requirement sa education.
Yes, sir.
Diba? That is one of the requirements sa education, that when you make a test, okay, it is not completely done once you have not performed an item analysis. No? Because it will really help you to really understand if you have given a very reliable type of test questions, no? Kapag ginamit natin yung item analysis, although matrabaho lang talaga siya. Okay? And what other help it can give us is that we can have our test item bank, meaning pwede natin siyang gagamitin pa sa susunod because it states a high reliability if we will going to use the item analysis. So binigay ni Sir Reggie yung tamang sagot, that is negative discriminating power. So ano po tatandaan natin sa negative discriminating power?
Lower group.
If mas maganda ang performance ni lower group. Okay? Take note, we're talking about an item. Okay, we're talking not about the item, not yet the entire question. Pag entire test questions or the entire test paper, that would be reliability index naman po. Okay? Kapag kayong buo lahat na, that will become reliability index. So this is just about item analysis. Give me a thumbs up po if okay po tayo doon. Ayan, thank you. Maraming salamat. Let's move on. Okay, class interval. Ito, alam na alam natin to. Ma'am Hazel. Hello po, Ma'am Hazel. Would you mind reading po?
Look like a range.
Ayan, si Ma'am, nakita si Ma'am Maria Teresa na ito. Ayan. Nakabasa na. Sir Richard. Ayan, Sir Richard. And let me just admit those who are in the room. Ayan. Is to read, sir?
In a frequency, what is the interval size of the class whose lower and upper limits are 9.5 and 19.5? Letter A, 5.0, B, 9.0, C, 10.0, D, 11.0.
Okay, so the question here has something to do with class interval. Okay, the class interval. Okay, the class interval. Okay, because it gives you the lower and the upper limit. Now, how do we have the class interval?
We're using
By simply
Subtracting.
Subtract the upper to lower.
Yes, very good.
Minor.
range ba yan, sir? Range ba?
Lower.
Upper limit minus
Lower
Ah,
lower
range.
Lower
limit.
limit.
Okay. Okay. Upper limit minus lower limit. Okay, that is your class interval. So 19.5 minus 9.5 equals
10. 10, sir.
10.
10. Yun. So again, minor lang yung mga solution kaya hindi natin masyadong tatandaan yung mga. Pero ito, napaka-common po nito. No?
Range yung
class
ginamit.
interval. Okay? The upper limit, the lower limit when you have your class interval. Kasi hindi ka pwedeng manghula kasi we're talking about frequency distribution. So you need to know what is the beginning or what the limit, the lower limit going to the upper limit so that you will be able to really spread the scores so that your frequency distribution would be really easy to understand. Kasi pagka ginawa nating tagi-isa, that's why we always have a standard to follow and that is the upper limit minus lower limit. That will give you your class interval. Okay? Hindi yung magde-decide ako, 5, 0 to 5, 5 to 10. Okay, so we need to identify, that's why we have these limits, meaning these are the boundary. Okay po? Okay, let's move on. Okay, admit some of your classmates. Yan. Dito tayo. Kindly read for us. Ma'am Kate, mayong gabi.
Mayong gabi, sir. Mr. M, who is a high school teacher in science, conducted an item analysis of his test. He found out that 4 items of the test obtained the following difficulty and discrimination indices as follows. Which of the items should be discarded?
Okay.
Item number 3.
So, I did ask you a while ago to copy the table. Were you able to copy the table?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. And I want you also to take note of the choices. Napakadali naman tandaan, no? Item 1, item 2, item 3, item 4. Okay? So, I will explain that later on as we go on with my lecture or discussion para mas malinaw niyong maintindihan kung saan natin ipo-focus yung discarding or removing or rejecting. Is that on the difficulty index or is that on the discrimination index?
Discrimination.
Because as you're going to look at them, there is a variations between the indices between items. No? Dito mataas yung difficulty niya, dito mababa yung kanyang discrimination. So we need to really focus kung saan tayo mag-identify. Anong indices ba ang magsasabi para mag-discard ng items. Are we clear po? So we will leave that later on. Okay, let's have here Ma'am Jocelyn.
Hello, sir.
Yes, thank you.
Number 10, Teacher
Yes.
Deli, in conduct of item analysis, found out that significant number of the class upper group got test items number 20 and number 26. What does it mean? So,
Okay.
test
Okay.
items are
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
B, test items are valid. C, test items have negative discriminating power. D, test items have positive discriminating power.
So again, this is about item analysis. So when we encounter a question about item analysis, right away look for what is being defined. Okay, so we can see here that it is upper group that got a good performance on 2 items. So again, omit these two since this talking about discriminations. Okay, so what would be the answer? Again, this is now upper group. That is now positive discriminating.
Power.
Test items have
Letter
positive.
D.
Yes, letter D. Test items have positive discriminating power. It were able to really show that this item is really meant for those who are highly skilled or those learners that have really understand the concept. Okay? So, yun po itatandaan natin. Item analysis, look for the upper and the lower group. And later on, you will see that also in the summary that I created a table para madali po nating matandaan. Kasi pag paragraph, medyo mahirap tandaan. Okay? So that's why in your review po, I suggest in your review, do not just read, but have some note-taking. Okay? Have some note-taking. Do not just read, but have some note-taking. Find your own technique or ways to be able to memorize something, especially discrimination index. No? Kasi hindi rin natin masasabi kung yan ay lalabas, kung gaano karami siyang lalabas, but mostly, laging merong question about that. Okay, eto na. Item analysis characteristic. Ma'am Frances, Sir Joe. Sir Joe? Sir?
Ay, sir.
Okay. Pakibasa po.
Which of the following is characteristics of an item analysis?
Okay. So, in this question, again, the main focus of our discussion this afternoon is item analysis. Okay. Item analysis. So, which of these choices are we going to eliminate, and what are the two possible answers that defines about characteristic? Okay. Are we going to have it identifies the percentage of equivalent of the cut-off scores? It identifies the highest scores, determines the cut-off scores, it determines the effectiveness of the distractors. Ano yung una nating tatanggalin? Ang item analysis ba ay nakakapagsabi kung sinong kukuha ng highest score?
No po. Eliminate letter A and letter C po.
Eliminate letter A and letter
C.
Kasi wala namang cut-off scores, di ba? Okay? Wala namang ano yan. Kasi that is based on how they answered that one. So we will be leaving this one. Okay. Definitely, if you perform very well, then you will have the highest score. But we're talking about an item. So when we talk about an item, ano ba yung part ng item na meron? The test question and what? The choices. The test question and the choices. Right? The test question and the choices. So the
Yes, opo.
answer is
Letter
letter
D.
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 Okay? Why? Because
Effectiveness
this distractors, no? That's why when you make a test, sabi nga, no? Okay, in making a test, see to it that the choices are homogeneous. If you want really to measure the understanding of your learners. Kasi pagka yung distractors mo ay napaka klarong-klaro, then who will have the advantage on that? That those who are would be performing very well. Okay? So hindi natin makikita talaga yung pinaka-objective natin to assess the level of understanding of our learners. That's why in the TOS, di ba, meron tayong percentage na 70, 20, 10. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Okay?
Opo.
At that is how we distribute the test questions. And together with the test questions, we are guided with different principles. Okay? And one of that is the homogeneity of the choices. At pag gusto daw nating pahirapin ang choices, anong gagawin mo? Pag gusto mo mapahirap pa yung distractors mo. Kasi pagka ginawa mo to, laging iniisip ng tao na ito lagi ang tamang sagot. That's why the test will become difficult. And you know
Is it
what is that?
possible, sir, na Sir, may tanong lang po ako.
Yes, go ahead.
Is it possible, sir, na yung distractor, kumbaga yung, kapag sobrang easy na yung distractor, mare-reject siya?
That's possible. That's possible. That will affect the reliability of your test, no? Kasi again, when you make your, especially teachers, you can relate on that. Minsan ang choices natin tatlo lang, 'di ba? And that is wrong. Dapat ang choices mo ay laging 4. Okay? It will always be like always 4. Okay? Kasi pag tatlong choices, minsan, kaya ka nagkakaroon ng tatlong choices kasi eto lang yung tatlo eh. Wala nang iba. Wala na ako ibang maisip. Kaya mag-iisip ka na lang na maglagay ng ibang distractors. And sometimes, nakukuha na kagad ng bata kung ano yung pinakatamang sagot. So how would you assess the level of the difficulty of your item? Okay po. Now, yung sa sinasabi ko, para mas mapahirap mo pa yung homogeneous na nga siya, di ba? Homogeneous na. Gusto mo pa ngayong mapahirap because you want to really assess how deep is their understanding, meaning the same with the PROF question, that is metacognition, thinking beyond thinking. Okay? So ano ginagawa? Mahaba yung question or mahaba yung length ng mga choices. Okay? The length of the choices. Bakit? Laging common na thing na pag mahaba, yun ang pinipili. Tama po ba? Tama po ba?
Opo.
Nakaka-relate po kayo?
Or gagamit po ng unknown words.
Yes.
Yung po.
Yung pinapahaba yung pinaka-statement kasi yung statement na mahaba, may kasama na siyang explanation, kaya nakukonvince ka na. The problem is, tanungin mo sarili mo, did it really define the question? Yung katulad din po ng test question, mahaba lang siya because of the set parameters or conditions that might confuse test examiners or test takers. Katulad po nung kanina, pagka nag-focus ka doon sa average, low and average ability of learners, mapipili mo na yung letter D. Pero hindi, kasi it is just a supplement. Hindi siya yung pinaka-main focus ng tanong. Maliwanag po. That's why I always advise, if you will take this na face-to-face, takpan yung choices, mag-focus sa tanong. Okay po?
Opo.
Okay. Yes, kagaya kanina sa number question, sir. Yes, that's it. Thank you po. Thank you po. So, by yourself, you're having now what we call your self-assessment. No? Nagkakaroon po kayo ng self-assessment as I am trying to rationalize or explaining to you the answers or the reasons behind bakit kayo yung nagiging sagot. Kaya nagkakaroon na tayo ng aha. Okay. Ito ang kailangan kong tandaan. Okay, number 12. Okay, what does it mean when a teacher says positive interdependence in a collaborative learning? So, we are very familiar with collaborative learning, no? Ito lagi yung inaano natin, no? Collaborative learning. Okay, we need to always have the collaborative learning. So, let us underline. What does it mean when a teacher say positive interdependence in a collaborative learning? Ito yung sinasabi ng mga millennials na parang joke lang, no? Okay, dati sa atin bawal lang mag-cheat. Ngayon sila pag nag-cheat, ang tawag nila collaborative.
Teamwork, sir, teamwork.
Or
may
teamwork.
unity.
Di ba?
May unity diba? Sila, sir. May unity.
May unity. Okay? So sa atin, bawal yung cheating. Ngayon sa kanila, ang cheating is a way of teamwork and collaboration. So kaya, those are just joke na ano natin, no? Para madali natin medyo maintindihan. Okay, so we're talking about on the side of the teacher. Okay? So let us look. Collaborative learning. When we say collaborative learning, ang dami, napaka-wide ng collaborative learning. When we talk about learning, learning can be taken as an activity or a task or a work. Diba? Meron dito work. Learning can also be attested as a product of a test. That's why you're giving a test, so to be able to check how far they learn. Then, mentoring or tutoring, again, that is, again, collaborative learning.
Positive
So,
interdependence.
lahat halos to, okay? Lahat halos to is possible answer. Okay? Lahat halos is possible answer. Pero sino sa kanila yung pinakamabigat na nakakapagsagot nung stem ng question na positive interdependence in a collaborative. There is a positive effect when you are performing collaborative learning. Positive effect. Okay?
Letter D, sir.
Letter
D.
Letter D po.
Letter A?
Letter D. Do.
Letter D po. D.
Okay. Depend on the intelligent group to do works. Is that positive?
Letter C.
Okay, that is negative. Remove. Okay?
Remove.
Kasi that is negative. And this is what is happening, di ba? In collaborative learning. Pag merong medyo matalino, ikaw na ba? Ikaw na. Ikaw na. Ikaw na lahat, di ba?
Puro siya na.
Puro na siya na. Okay. So you are the one gaining, or you all of you will get the score, pero doon sa side mo, doon sa yung individualized development, meron ba? Wala. So wala siyang pa. Take note, interdependence. When we say interdependence, there is an interaction. Okay? There is an interaction. So, helping one another to pass the exam.
Unity.
Unity. Okay.
Negative.
Okay, kasi hindi natin alam kung paano mo i-help yan. Oo, baka katulad ka nung pelikulang Bad Genius.
Bad Genius.
Pang malakas ang galawan.
Have you seen that movie? Tama ba? Bad Genius ba yung title na?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Maganda nung
Tama
movie
po.
na yun. Okay. Ano lang, ad-lib lang natin para relax tayo ng konti, no? Para hindi masyadong strain yung ating isip. Okay? So, mentoring and tutoring. Okay, itong dalawa. Itong dalawa ngayon ang pag-iisipan. Mentoring, tutoring, interdependence, interaction, and depending on each other. Tama? Tama po? Okay.
Yes.
Ngayon, tingnan natin to. Learning to depend on each other to forge united efforts to achieve goal.
Each other.
Mabigat yung ano, sir.
So, mas mabigat yung letter D.
Letter D.
May
Okay.
each other kasi siya sa...
Okay. Hindi po siya dahil sa mabigat, dahil sa mahaba. Kasi again, kanina kakasabi ko lang, no? Mostly, ang pinipili natin ay yung mahabang, di ba? Pero eto
They
talaga
are
yung
united
sagot. Okay. Why?
to achieve
Because
the goal.
collaborative force
United.
united effort. Why you
Achieve
collaborate?
the goal.
Because you have a certain target. Okay? Why are you dependent? Why you have an interaction or dependent or being dependent on each other? Because you are aiming to achieve a certain goal. Okay? So the learning to depend on each other to forge united efforts. So united efforts is collaborative. Are we clear po? So hindi po natin matatawag na collaborative effort kapag sinabi mo doon sa pinakamagaling, oh ikaw na lahat, sa'yo na. Kasi honor student ka naman. Tapos pag nagkamali, bida-bida ka, o pag nagkamali, sisihin siya. Di ba? So kaya nagiging negative yung depend on the intelligent group. So teachers, when you give collaborative learning, see to it that you will be able to assess yung bawat isa. Kaya dapat at least nabibigyan sila ng role, no? They have their own role. Katulad ko as a science teacher, experiment is always a group, no? Pero may kanya-kanya silang role. Tapos ikutan ng role. Yun po yung ginagawa natin. Okay? Eto, number 13. Mukhang madali lang to, no? Madali ba? O medyo nahirapan din tayo mag-weigh? Okay. Which among the following is a factor that hinders mastery of development tasks? Okay. All of these are factor, but we are primarily concerned with the factor that hinders mastery of development tasks. All of these are factor, right?
Yes, sir.
All of these are factor.
Yes, sir.
You will not be able to develop yourself if you have a low level of self-confidence. If you do have lack of motivation. Low intelligence level. Hindi, wala ka ring interest o ma-develop pag low intelligence level. I don't believe with that, no? Because each one of us are having what we call the multiple intelligences. We might be good in one area, but on the other area, we're struggling. Pero meron pa rin tayong intelligence level. Are we clear po? At ito intelligence level, ito yung sinasabi nating late bloomer. Have you heard about being a late bloomer?
Yes, sir.
Diba? They perform very well. Pero nauna na nagpo-perform ng very well, ng good when they were in elementary. But when they go to high school, medyo nagsawa na or nawala na yung interest. That's why nagde-decline din, no?
Si Albert Einstein.
Yes, that's si idol ko si Albert Einstein, no? So that's one of the example. So kaya yung low intelligence level has something to do with maturity kasi. When we tend to be matured as we grow, doon tayo ngayon nakakapag-focus na. 'Di ba? The same ng sinasabi nila, no? Ang pinakamasayang buhay ng pag-aaral is not elementary but high school. Going to college. Yes, di ba? High school. Bakit? When you are in high school, there are a lot of stimuli already or experiences. Yun, kalokohan. Pero yung mga kalokohan na yun, Sir Darrell, is part actually of your development.
Yes, sir.
Right? Halimbawa, nagkaroon kayo ng kwentuhan, magkakagrupo. Lahat sila nagsishare ng kalokohan nila, ikaw wala. Di ba?
Hindi makarelate.
Hindi ka makarelate, no? So I'm not saying na okay lang na maloko ka ng high school. No. Because that is part of learning. That is, remember about child development, no? Child development. Meron tayong tinatawag na stages. Meron tayong the gang stage, the clique stage. Yan.
Part of social learning.
So, yun. Usually, doon tayo talaga pumupunta. Okay? So, ano kaya dito? Itong low intelligence level, hindi naman siguro, no? Because that is maturity pa rin.
Lack motivation.
Lack motivation.
Lack of motivation and self-confidence, parang nagkakatalo.
Okay.
Letter A.
Okay, the correct answer. Ito correct answer. Isipin nyo kung
Letter
bakit,
B.
ha? Isipin nyo kung
Kasi
bakit
same
ito correct answer, ha?
Letter
Letter
D.
A.
Yung A and B parang same lang sila.
Okay?
Theory of development.
We're talking about tasks. Okay?
Creative ka dapat para
Okay? Yes. We're talking about tasks. Hindi yung pwedeng sabihin mo, hindi ako marunong mag-drawing.
Oo.
Doon. Hindi naman lahat pinanganak na marunong mag-drawing. Diba?
Limitless ang pag-iisip
Yes.
nila.
Yes, definitely. Okay?
After all, development naman pala yung tinatanong. Kaya,
Yes.
letter D.
Yes. Diba? Oh, again, all of these are factors, right? And we are really convinced, no? But if we are going to really focus on the stem of the question, development, mastery coupled with development in performing a certain task. So that is your creativity. Okay? So again, yung intelligence level, again, it is something to do with maturity kasi. Kasi lahat naman tayo ay may kanya-kanyang talino at galing. Yun nga lang, may nauuna lang ma-develop. Wala sa gatas yan. Okay? Wala sa gatas yan. Okay? Okay.
Nakalido.
Nasa gatas yan. Okay po? Okay. Let me
Nasa
have...
kape, sir. Nasa kape.
Okay. Which of the following reflects teachers' understanding o development na naman? Which of the following reflects teachers' understanding that development is a result of maturation and learning? So, this is about development as a result of maturation, being matured, and learning. Kaya nga sinasabing experience is the best teacher. Okay?
Letter D.
Teacher's understanding. On which of these choices, it shows that the teacher understand that the development of a child or a learner is a product or a result of its maturation and how it learns.
Letter D.
Remove C and
Remove
A,
muna
sir.
tayo. Remove natin
Remove
C.
letter A.
and B.
C
And
Okay,
B.
remove letter
A and B.
A. Cheerfulness and enthusiasm. Okay, cheerfulness. Pagiging masayahin. Kailangan ng teacher masayahin, no? Pero does it define the question? No.
No po.
Okay, again, all of this, pero lahat po ito ay homogeneous. Are we clear? Why?
Yes, sir.
Because it belongs to what we call the characteristic of a teacher. Okay? The characteristic of a teacher. Siyempre, kailangan ng teacher may buhay pag nagturo. Pag sabi natin cheerfulness, hindi naman laging nakasmile. Kumbaga, parang energetic ka. Okay? Baka seryoso yung topic, nakasmile ka pa rin. No? Yeah. Tsaka in time, according to some studies in this time, the millennials are more, they can easily grasp the idea kapag medyo inaano natin na merong mga ad-lib of jokes that is related to the lesson.
Yes, sir.
Ayun, di ba? So, cheerfulness, enthusiasm.
Mga icebreaker.
Yun, yung mga icebreaker. Ako usually, I always have that when I discuss. Kaya nakaka-relate talaga yung mga bata. Okay, fairness in giving of grades or school marks. So, tanggalin natin to, no?
Kasi,
Yes.
Parang inuutusan mo yung teacher, no? Maging fair ka pag nagbigay ka ng grade. Again, when we give grades, we are basing our grades based on the performance of our learners, based on our appraisal of the learning of our learners, right? So, hindi naman tayo judge. Teachers are not the judge. We don't judge their future. Kaya nga sinasabi ko lagi, grades does not define you, but grades are just a way of motivating or telling you na ito yung na-attain mo. Okay? Ito yung na-attain mo, ito pa yung pwede mo pang gawin. Okay? Kapag nabigyan ka ng 1 flat, ibig sabihin, nasa level ka na ng teacher. Pag sa college, nabigyan ka ng 1 flat, nasa level ka na rin ng teacher. Okay? So, let's have C and D. Creativity in implementing classroom strategies or tasks. So, it calls for what? Maturation. It
Maturation.
calls for learning. Tama po?
Opo.
Yes.
Then
Yes po, sir.
patience when dealing
Pero
with the slow learners.
teachers yung tinutukoy.
Yeah. So we're talking about yung pang-unawa mo bilang isang guro na ang development, ano nga ba development? Ang pagkahubog ng isang tao,
Pagkalago.
tama ba? Pagkalago, pagunlad o paglago, paglaki, okay, ay resulta ng kanyang maturation, ano kayong Tagalog yan? Okay, maturation and learning. So, definitely, as a teacher, ito yung nagiging challenge sa atin, no? Having that patience, no? Dealing with the slow learners. That's why even in the test construction, di ba, 10% lang ang binigay sa difficult. 70 on easy. Okay? Para hindi actually ma-frustrate pa rin yung mga learners natin. Di ba? Kasi, katulad ng first question ko kanina, di ba? Pag yung unang tanong kagad bumulaga sa'yo,
banta na yun, sir.
Yun. At ito po yung advice ko sa inyo at tanggalin natin, no? Pag nag-take tayo ng exam. Okay? Pag bukas po natin ng test paper, yung unang tanong pa lang, sabihin na natin sa sarili natin, madali lang. Kahit
sana ganyan
mahirap.
sa
Okay? Sabihin niyo po sa sarili niyo. Kasi bakit po? Kasi kahit gaano po kayo ka-prepare, kapag pagbukas niyo ng test question at unang item pa lang, naramdaman mo na ang tinatawag nating panic, that will result into what we call mental block.
Mental patay.
Okay? That will result into mental block. Kaya isipin po natin na madali lang siya. Kaya lagi kong sinasabi, yes, conditioning. Takpan mo muna yung choices, tsaka mo ngayon basahin yung tanong. Unawain mo. Okay? Kasi pagka, unang reaction kasi talaga, pag bulaga, ay, di ko na-encounter sa review to, hindi ko napasa sa mga reviewer to. Panic na. Paano po ngayon papasok lahat yung naaral natin? Our minds has the ability to give us, to return back kung ano yung inaral natin. Kailangan lang nating tulungan yung ating isipan. Kaya nga po, may mga technique sa memorization na pagka nag-memorize ka, isipin mo kung nasaan mo nabasa yung tanong na to. At kung nagpanic ka, paano mo pa maiisip na, teka lang, nabasa. Nasa sopa ko na may counter ko itong tanong na to. May experience nyo po na magpa-pop in sa mind nyo kaagad yun. That's why I also advise na pag nag-review po tayo, basahin po natin siya ng malakas. Huwag natin siyang titigan. Okay? Huwag natin siyang titigan. Basahin ng malakas, mag-note taking po tayo.
Reflects teachers' understanding.
Okay?
The development is a result of maturation and learning.
Okay, thank you po. So patience, no? Dealing with slow learners because that will call for the maturation. Are we clear po?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So yung po yung mga aking mga advice sa inyo. Huwag po tayong magpanik pag open ng tanong. Okay?
What
Next
does
number.
teaching to the test mean?
What does teaching to the test mean?
Teaching to the test mean?
To the test.
Okay. So we're talking about teaching in relation to the test.
To the test.
Okay. So meaning we're talking about the relationship. So take note. We always have the assessment. No, assessment is always what we call the test. No, whether that is an authentic or alternative or traditional. No. So teaching to the test. So we're talking about the relationship. So pagka tinakpan natin yung choices, halimbawa nabasa na natin yung tanong, okay, this talks about relationship. Titingnan na natin ngayon yung choices. No? Tapos binasa natin, no? Test as a means of teaching. May relasyon sila. Teaching so as the students perform well on a meaningful task. Meaningful task. Authentic assessment. Authentic. Oo nga, Ma'am Angeli. Okay na po. I hope nakakapalo po kayo sa live, no? So, teaching so as the students perform well on a meaningful task. So, meaningful task can be considered to be a performance-based assessment. Okay? Teaching by focusing primarily on those that will be tested. Uy, may relationship din ng teaching at ang test. Teaching begins and ends instruction with a test. Lahat po to, relationship self. Opo, lahat po siya relationship. Ayan. Kaya po sinasabi natin homogeneous lagi. Kaya ano po ngayon ang magde-define sa kanya? Magtanggal po muna tayo.
Letter A, tanggalin, sir.
Test as a means of teaching.
Pagtuturo lang.
Magbibigay ka ng test. Test ang gagamitin mo bilang way mo ng pagtuturo.
Pagtuturo.
Diba? Okay. Meron bang professor na gano'n? Meron bang teacher na gano'n? Papasok lang tapos bigay ng test.
College, nung college.
Meron sir sa college.
College, no? Okay. So,
Marami-rami.
tanggalin natin yan. Tanggalin natin. Okay. So, next. Let us relate that to what is happening now in the minimum essential learning competencies, di ba? Binawasan ng DepEd yung MELC, no? Nag-focus lang sa dapat na topic, and the criteria that was used by DepEd in streamline of the competencies is about endurance. Okay? Endurance, meaning, eto yung naririnig po natin lagi. I know yung naririnig ko lagi to. This is the term known as resiliency. Okay po. So, the resiliency. So, ito po yung mga konti kong bibigay sa inyo. Okay? The streamlining of the MELC, they use one of the criteria is endurance, and that is in terms of resiliency. In this time of pandemic, ano bang learning ang dapat matutunan ng ating mga bata? Dahil sa dami ng topic, sa libro, sa dami ng kung ano-anong inaaral, ano ba, kasi hindi naman nila na-encounter ng teacher, hindi naman nakakasama ng teacher, no? Kaya it is more of less is more. Mas konti, mas mahalaga. Okay? Less is more. Okay? So, tingnan natin. Saan kaya dito sa sinabi ni Sir ang pumapasok? At actually, ito yung tinitingnan natin na kung kapag makikita nyo mamaya yung sagot, sabihin nyo, parang dapat ganun nga, no? Okay. So, tanggal si A. Ano pang tatanggalin natin?
Letter B.
Letter B. Tanggalin natin si letter B. Okay. This is teaching begins and ends instruction with a test. Diagnostic test is given before you have your instruction, right? Or within after the teaching, you will have again your diagnostic, then again you will have your reteaching. Yan. Then teaching by focusing primarily on those that will be tested.
Letter C ata po.
Teaching to the test.
D.
Letter D.
Teaching to the test. Teaching to
Letter
the
D,
test.
sir.
C.
What do we encounter in a test? We encounter what?
Problems.
Concepts. Diba? Concepts. So the correct answer?
Daw eh. Munti ka na.
Focusing primarily on those that will be tested. Okay? Kasi hindi ka rin naman po magbibigay. Remember, in table of specification, when you make a test, it is a violation to give a test item na hindi mo na ituro.
Yes.
Okay po ba? Hindi mo rin pwede sabihin na I want to test yung mga matatalino kung makukuha nila to. Hindi mo na ituro eh. Okay? So that would be a violation. So the teaching to the test, meaning And this is one thing, are you aware of what yung sinasabi nating PISA, the
Di
international
po, sir.
assessment? Okay, yung PISA,
Yes, sir.
yun, alam niyo po ba performance ng Philippines doon? Na napakababa natin sa science and math. Although ang dami natin magagaling sa science and math, pero ang baba natin.
I think nasa pang-apat sa dulo ata.
Nasa baba po tayo. Dulong-dulo.
Pang-apat sa dulo, sir.
Yes, dulong-dulo tayo. And even in English, okay, medyo okay naman tayo sa English, pero ang sa English, magtataka ka, China is number 1. Hindi naman sila nag-English. Okay? Because PISA is an international assessment, and I have heard ito yung pinag-aaralan na rin na gamitin, no? Kasi sumasali ang Pilipinas dito sa international assessment na to, and lumalabas na lagi tayong nasa baba.
Pangatlo ang Pilipinas sa English.
Okay? Lagi tayong nasa baba sa science and math. Ang daming magagaling sa science, ang daming magagaling sa math. Sa English walang problema kasi talaga namang magaling tayo sa English. Okay?
Englishero.
Kasi marami tayong call center.
Yes.
Marami tayong call center. No, just kidding po. Okay? So, I hope you were able to get those things. Okay po ba?
Yes po, sir. Thank you po.
Yung ating rationalization. Okay. Okay, lecture po tayo, no? Lecture discussion, item analysis, and interpretation. So, dalawa po yung ginagamit. Item difficulty index and item discrimination index. Okay? So, all of this pertain to item. So, item difficulty index, ability of an item to discriminate between students who know the best item and those who do not. Okay? Ma'am Kate, no need to copy. No need to copy. I will be giving you the lecture. Okay? Simplify ko na siya. Item discrimination index or discrimination index is the ability of an item to differentiate among students on the basis of how well they know the test item being tested. So the formula is discrimination is equals to upper group minus lower group divided by the total number of examiners. Okay? So ito po kapag hindi mo pa nakuha yung discrimination index. Pero pag nakuha mo na yung discrimination index, etong nasa taas na lang yung gagamitin mo. Maliwanag po. Give me a thumbs up. Okay. So these are the things that you need to pay attention with. Okay? The table of indices, no?
Ito yung inaano ko kanina.
Okay? The table of indices. So you have here the index or the indices, and you have here the interpretation, and you have here the recommendation, whether the item is unacceptable, acceptable.
Yan ba yung sir, reject, retain?
Yes. Ito yung reject, retain. Yung kaninang number 9 natin, no? So tingnan po natin itong mabuti. Okay? So we will be able to see, okay, item difficulty index. This is our interpretation. Okay? Next, item discrimination index. Okay? Don't worry po, ibibigay ko po sa inyo yan. Sinimplify ko na po siya para hindi po tayo mahirapan. Then we have the overall interpretation of the test items. Ito na po yung pinagsama na natin yung difficulty level, the index of difficulty, and the discriminating index. Pag highly acceptable, parehas, very good item. Keep that. Difficulty level, highly acceptable, good item. Highly acceptable, unacceptable, improve or revise. Unacceptable, acceptable or highly acceptable, improve or discard the item.
Reject.
Unacceptable, discard, reject the item. Okay? So yan po yung balikan natin yung question number 9. Sinulat niyo po ba yung table?
Yes, sir.
Okay, tingnan natin kung ano yung interpretation, kung base doon sa, sulat natin po sa side yung interpretation natin base doon sa indices na nakabigay kanina sa number 9. Titingnan po natin kung parehas po tayong lahat magka-come up ng tamang sagot. Okay? So pay attention on the recommendation. Yan. Pay attention on the recommendation po. Okay? Index, then the recommendation. Because the question is about discarding. So meaning you are recommending, you are deciding kung tatanggalin ko ba siya o i-stay ko ba siya. Okay na po tayo sa difficulty index, sir and ma'am? Okay, let's go to discrimination index. Sulat po natin doon sa side ng binigay ni Sir Mads. Okay? Okay na po tayo? Okay na po tayo, sir and ma'am? Okay. Ngayon, tingnan na po natin kung ano po yung kalalabasan ng ating interpretation. So look at your table, yung pinakopya ko sa inyo. Again, the question number 9 is about discarding. Anong item number ba ang i-discard niya? Nahanap na po natin. Ano pong sagot? Sino pong nagsosolve sa computer? Pwedeng mag-share screen. Meron po bang pwede? O sa papel lang? Sa papel lang po lahat, no? Okay, balikan natin yung question number 9. Tingnan natin. Yun. Okay. So, difficulty index, discrimination index. So, he found out that 4 items of the test obtained the following difficulty and discrimination index. Which of the items should he discard?
Letter D.
Okay. According kay Sir Darrell, letter D. Lahat po ba letter D? Base po doon sa ating ipinakitang table of indices and recommendation. Point 58, ano po ang recommendation pag point 58 at point 49 index? Tapos na po? Okay, ano pong sagot nila? Ano po ang dalawang item na lumabas? Give me a thumbs up po kung na-interpret na po natin.
C and D.
C and? C and D.
D.
Okay, C and D. So, sino po sa kanila ang pinaka mas i-discard natin? Meaning talagang discard. The other one might be improvise or suggest.
Letter D ang alam ko.
D po.
Okay. The correct answer is
D.
letter D. Parehas. Ma'am Kate?
Yung
Yes,
Sir Dave? Letter D?
Opo,
Sir
letter
Dave?
D po.
Okay, very
Kasi
good.
pag sobrang
Kasi dun-
baba, reject. Pag sobrang taas,
Nagkatalo po dun
reject.
sa discrimination index.
Yes, sa discrimination index because you are not talking about the upper group and the lower group, no? So kailangan po natin. Now, it's up to your mom and sir, no, my dear LPTs, to find your own technique na mapadali nyo pong matandaan yung etong mga indices.
Yes, sir.
Okay po.
Thank you po.
Na
Thank you po, sir.
mapadali nyo pong matandaan etong mga indices na binigay ko. Okay? So, the same thing, I also have the distractors. Ito, yung kanina, no? In the item analysis, it is mostly about the distractors. So, this is the interpretation. So, nakaparagraph po yan kung babasahin nyo, pero ginawa ko na lang siya ng table para madaling tandaan. If the upper group is greater than the lower group, then it is ineffective. Okay, it is not reliable. Okay, the item, no? But this is all about real distractors. Okay po? Lower than, greater than, effective. Napakagaling. Napakaganda ng ano. Equal but not equal to 0. Okay? Effective. Both equal to 0, highly ineffective. So that's why item analysis is more on the discrimination or distractors rather. Okay? Pagalingan ng paggawa ng katulad po na nakikita nyo ngayon, nakaka-distract, di ba? Kasi lahat possible na answer. But applying the law of elimination and the law of leveling or leverage, makikita na natin, babalikan mo lagi yung tanong. Okay po. So this one is also, I also give you the table of reliability. Meaning, when we say reliability, the whole question, yung pinaka-whole question is reliable. Meaning, it will give you a consistent score kahit kanino mo siya iti-test. Okay po ba? Okay po?
Copy po, sir.
Okay, so that would be my end of my discussion, and I hope I have imparted to you
Thank you, sir.
important things about item analysis. Okay po?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
So again, my dear LPTs, no? Kailangan lang po natin talagang, first of all, is when you take the test already, no? Kung face-to-face po siya mangyayari, nakapapel, over natin yung choices. Focus tayo sa tanong. And do not stay too long on the question. Pag hindi po talaga kaya pa natin, jump tayo, balikan natin. No? Balikan natin sa baka sakaling pagka as we go on, yun. Pero hindi kasi nangyayari. Ang nangyayaring thing is sa teacher made test na usually pag gumawa ang teacher ng test, yung sagot sa taas ay makikita mo na doon sa other type of test. Limbawa, multiple choice, no? Yung sagot o yung enumeration, yung pinapa-enumerate, nandun na sa multiple choice yung sagot. And that would not be a very good type of test. Okay? Kapag gumawa po tayo, mga dear teachers. Pero pag mahal po natin yung learners natin, talagang bibigyan natin yun. Pero pagka mautak talaga yung learners natin, ay, andito naman pala yung sagot. Diba? Yun. And the board exam, they don't do that, and they don't repeat questions. They don't repeat. The concept would be repeated, but the questions would not be. Okay po. That's why it is. Kasi mas madali po kasi yung situational. Mas madaling gumawa ng tanong na nababase sa situation. Okay? Sir, Teacher A. Yun po. Tapos na po kami.
Hello, Sir Majid.
Ayun.
Thank you so much, sir, for this virtual review. I think, sir, ito po yung last na topic po sa assessment and evaluation.
Yes,
so, announcement lang, sir, by students, announcement by November 20. So, we have a class, and November 20 and then 21. We have a class for professional education facilitating learning. And then we have also November 27, 6 to 8 lahat po yun, yung time natin. And then announcement also for batch 3 and 4, and then Santa Catalina College, deadline of your pre-board mock test will be tomorrow, Saturday, for professional education and then general education mock test. And then the result will be out by Monday. Results and questionnaire answer key will be posted in your Google Classroom. So, pakitapos po yung mock test through SIFGrade. And then, with Net Beacon, I will send you all the materials and your Google Classroom for part 1, 2, 3, and then 4 for this topic by Sir Martin. Assessment and evaluation. I think si Sir Majid is magbibigay po ng handouts for this.
Yes po, I will be giving handouts po.
Okay. Sir Majid, by Friday, sir, you have schedule 6 to 8 po and 21 po ang mag-lecture po ako din po. So,
Friday, sir?
By Friday, sir, November 20, facilitating learning, sir.
Facilitating learning. Okay.
Yeah, and then 21, ako po yung yung mag-lecture. So, thank you, Sir Majid, for your time. Talagang
welcome po.
Sir Majid. Sa mga mag-excel, especially sa professional education. Sinabi ko nga, si Sir Majid is one of my teacher during my review. So, ang dami kong natutunan kay Sir Majid. So, I think all of you talagang 100%. Ang daming tutunan kay Sir Majid. So anyway, thank you so much. And then before we end, sir, I would like to call on Sir Ryan for closing prayer.
Once again, thank you po sa lahat na nagstay with our review. Maraming salamat po and for your participation. That really helps me, no? Mas maganda po kasi yung nagkakaroon ng interaction. This is positive interdependence in a collaborative learning. Yan. Okay. So, yun po yan. Lahat po tayo matututo. Ako natututo din pagka nakita ko yung saan kayo nahihirapan and nabibigyan ko kayo ng additional tips. Okay? You can have the prayer po.
Si Ryan Flores from Santa Catalina College.
Okay.
Po ba ako?
Yes, Sir Ryan. Okay po.
Together, let us pray. In the name of the Father, for present, apart from the spiritual, always think of the people who are willing to help us to achieve in life and help us to retain all the discussions. Get always pandemic and typhoon. We ask this to our Lord Jesus Christ, in the of the Holy Spirit, God forever. In the name of the Father, of the Son, of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
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 Yung let Bicol po, sir, pwede pa sila mag-take ng assessment and evaluation yung binigay nyo before na through Google Form?
Yes po. It's open.
They can study all the handout for assessment and evaluation part 1 and 2 and 3. So after, sir, pwede na silang mag-exam dun sa Google Form natin. Open pa po. Opo.
Yes, open po. Open po siya.
Thank you, Sir Majid, for your time, for your efforts, sir.
Welcome po. Thank you then,
Thank you, sir.
dear
Thank you
LPTs. God bless and
Thank you, sir.
keep safe, no? Keep safe and relax po.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Salamatun po, sir.
Majid.
Salamatun po.
Sir.
Yes, teacher.
All of you guys.
Picture taking daw, sabi ni Sir Darrell. Ba't nag-close cam ko, Sir Darrell?
Ba't ayaw mag-click. Wala nang storage.
Wala nang storage.
Kaya na lang, sir.
Sige. Okay, 1, 2. Okay, another. Yun. Yun. Hanggang dalawa lang. So, keep safe po, no? And again, advice ko, pag nagsagot tayo ng question, look for the pattern. Okay, yung pinaka-concept. Huwag niyo po i-memorize yung tanong. Look for the concept and how it will be presented in another way po. No?
Yes,
Yun lang
sir.
po.
Yes, sir.
So, yung mga binibigay ko pong handouts is naka-summarize po siya. I always keep in bold yung mga importanteng tandaan para madali po kayong mag-analyze.
Yes, sir.
Okay po. So ingat po. God bless. Enjoy your dinner.
Thank you so much, sir. And
Thank you, sir.
God bless you, sir.
God bless din
Marahin
po.
na banggi po.
Sir.
Marahin na
Marayang
banggi
na
po.
gabi. Mayong
Santo
gabi
sa
sa
labi.
inyong tanan.
Santo sa labi.
Mayong gabi. Ma'am Angeli, ayan, nakabalik na. Okay. Kanina pa nadidisconnect si ma'am. Okay. So again, pag may tanong po, I
Ingat
give
po. God bless.
my Facebook last time. Pag may tanong, pwede po kayong mag-drop message sa akin. No? I'm willing to help. No?
Thank you po, sir.
Sige po. Ayan po yung aking FB. Magpakilala lang po kayo. Okay. Kasi hindi po ako nag-accept. Baka usong-uso po yung mga scam eh. Okay po. Feel free po to end the call. Okay po. Ayan.
Okay.
God
Sige
bless.
po.
Ingat po. Ingat. Have
Sige
your
po.
dinner.
Thank you po.
Yan. Okay.
Marahin na banggi po. Salamat po.
Marayang na gabi.
Salamatan po.
Okay. God bless. God bless. Thank you for the heart. Feel free to end the call. Okay. So that I can end them po on my end.